This is 7-5 Radio with Walter Yerkew and Peter Scoop Stanton. This is the radio show that will break your neck, if your neck needs breaking. And here are the hosts of 7-5 Radio, Walter Yerkew, star of the biggest documentary movie ever made, The 7-5, and Peter Scoop Stanton, who starred in To Catch a Predator.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, one and all. This is Peter Scoop Stanton on 7-5 Radio. This is Saturday, October 10th, 2020. Now, if you went to church or watching football and NASCAR, it is Sunday. If it's still daylight, it's either Sunday morning or Saturday morning. But anyways, we are live. We have the Four Horsemen here. I'm not talking about Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, Ric Flair, or the other wrestler guy. I'm talking myself, Walter Yerkew, our not-so-sexy intern, Mike Guerin, and a special presence. He is the political cesspool criminal justice correspondent. He is the former co-host of Red 42 Radio, and he is the author of the great book, Downtown White Police, available on Amazon. It is Jim Lancia. Let's go around the room, fellas. Walt, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing good, my friend. I'm doing good. 10-10, shots fired. Does that bring back a memory?
Yes, it does. All right. Hey, our not-so-sexy intern, Mike Guerin, who's turning up on the airwaves at tunedinradio.us. He came in a little late because of his injury. He tore his Achilles tendon with the Chippendales dance troupe. How are we doing, Mike?
I'm doing real well, my friend. Thanks for having me on tonight, giving the cripple something to do tonight.
Great. And finally, our old friend, Jim Lancia. Jim, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. It's great to be on the show with you guys tonight. It's a little past my bedtime, but I think I'll stay awake.
Great. Well, you could take some coffee, some Geritol. Anyways, first order of business, like always on Red 42 and 7-5 Radio, we want to remember members of the law enforcement community that were murdered in the line of duty. First, we want to remember Police Officer Jacob William Hancher of the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina Police Department, end of watch, October 3rd, 2020. He was responding with domestic. His killer is DOA. And also Detective Kevin Dwayne Collins of the Pine Bluff, Arkansas Police Department, end of watch, October 5th, 2020. His killer is shot, wounded, and in custody. Anyways, Jim, since you are our special guest, even though you're more or less a friend, you always have a seat at our table. Why don't you tell our new listeners a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what's your background? Take it away, Jim.
Oh, well, I'm just a Italian kid born in Bridgeport, Connecticut, became a cop at 18, and retired on the job. And I was a cop about the same time as most of you guys. And, I compiled some pretty amazing experiences, put it in a book, and here I am right now. Not much to say, really. We'll get into that.
Not much to say.
I'm not a good self-promoter. I don't know.
So we know that. But anyways, Jim, you were a cop way back in the day, just like Walter and Mike. I came in a little bit later in the game. Why don't you tell us about what you think of modern policing today versus modern policing of back in so-called the day?
All right. Well, that's pretty clear right now. I think the quality of the men they're taking on has gone down is really degraded. The affirmative action is taking its toll, hiring too many women. I know we're going to get a lot of bad hate for that, but it's the quality that they're taking in. They're more concerned with quotas versus quality, and I think the police departments of today are suffering because I see it. I'm still in contact with a lot of the guys out there, and it's pretty bad. pretty bad. It's the quality of the men and women.
Right. Now, do you think they'd have cops like the four of us on the job today?
Well, I'm sure we would do okay. We wouldn't last long because you really can't be a cop in the inner city today and do your job. I mean, you just can't do it. It's impossible.
Right. Well, what do you think? You think they'd take the four of us the next class for NYPD or Bridgeport or DC?
Well, I think we'd make good instructors. When Security Academy in 84, 85, I think it was. You had the dinosaurs coming in every once in a while talking about stuff going on in the 50s. Now, at that age, I was only really 50s were like happy days, Laverne and Shirley. So it didn't really make a difference to me until it hit the street. Now, 35 years down the line, here I am saying, holy cow, these cops are getting water thrown on them. They're getting shot at. They're getting ambushed. They're not watching around. There's no observing, their surroundings. And they're just getting worn out. And I think Jim, hit the nail on the head when he said, there's a quality and a quantity. I'd rather have 10 cops with balls than 25 cops with no balls,
Mm-hmm.
And because the difference is life and death. The difference is life and death. You have to vary your surroundings. And you also got to take that patrol guide and throw it out the freaking window and not listen to the mayor in order to survive these days.
Right. Well said. Mike, you started at a very early age with Tennessee narcotics. What were the cops like back then, real quick?
Well, it was totally a different time. I think policing changed dramatically after March of 1990. But just like both these gentlemen said, police now they can't put on an offensive front. They have to play defense. And Jim's exactly right as far as the quality. There's two things. Who wants to work in this environment now? They're just having to put anybody with a pulse and a certification in a car because, who wants to be in the middle of this mess this day and time? Back then, it was a very much a prideful career, and I was honored and privileged and humbled to be able to wear that badge. But this day and time, oh my God, I wouldn't last 15 minutes on the street today.
Jim, back to you. You think you can last 15 minutes on the street, or would they be taken off the street and put back in civilian clothes?
Well, handling the crime was always easy. I mean, the violence on the streets, we had plenty of it. That was nothing. Taking criminals down. It's the bureaucracy. It's the politics.
Right. Right. Hey, Jim, hold that thought. When we come back, we'll talk about defunding or funding the police and backing the blue. This is 75 Radio on Liberty News Radio Network. Take it away, boys.
You know something is wrong when the media, global corporations, and governments are all colluding on a narrative that just doesn't add up. Do you seek truth, no matter where it leads? Want to understand how the world really works? Then take the red pill and register for the Expo of the Year. Come to G. Edward Griffin's Red Pill Expo, October 10th and 11th on Jekyll Island, Georgia, birthplace of the Federal Reserve. And hear from Del Bigtree, G. Edward Griffin, Dr. Andrew Kaufman, David Icke, Alex Newman, Dr. Bradford Weeks, Sheriff Mack, John Rappaport, Tim Ray, and many more. Register to attend or live stream at home with friends and family at redpillexpo.org. That's redpillexpo.org. Because something is wrong.
Hi, I'm Patty, wife of former Congressman Steve Stockman, In Congress, Steve sought impeachment of Eric Holder for his corruption of the Justice Department and his fast and furious gun running that caused border agent Brian Talley's death. Steve called for arrest of Lois Lerner for her contempt of Congress as it investigated her targeting of conservative nonprofit groups. After 4 years, 4 grand juries, and millions of tax dollars, Steve Stockman is in prison. His case involved 4 checks to nonprofits. DOJ has one standard for Hillary Clinton, but another for folks like President Trump and my husband. We've spent all our savings, all Steve's retirement, and much of mine. Steve Stockman has fought for you and America. Won't you join me now to fight for Steve? To help, text FIGHT to 444-999. Text FIGHT to 444-999 or go to defendapatriot.com. defendapatriot.com.
How many times do I have to tell you?
I swear, it just goes in one ear and out the other.
Don't you understand English?
Your children are probably too polite to tell you.
Hello? Those things on the side of your head aren't turnips?
But they get just as frustrated when you won't listen to them as you do when they won't listen to you.
Do I need to speak slower?
In fact, few things show children how much they're valued and respected more than a parent's willingness to listen.
Tell me what you did at work today.
Studies show when parents listen, children develop better listening skills themselves. They also tend to have more self-confidence and are more likely to avoid alcohol and drugs.
Now sit down here and tell me all about it.
When you really listen, love is what they'll hear.
Thank you for sharing that with me.
From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. For more tips on strengthening your family, visit family.mormon.org.
You're back, and Scoop is just getting back from posting insults on Twitter. This is still 7.5 Radio.
We are back, and we have a full house. We have yours truly, Scoop Stanton with Walter Yerkew, our Not So Sexy intern, Mike Guerin, and the political cesspool criminal justice correspondent, and our good friend, Jim Lancia. Now, Jim, there's a tug-of-war going on between backing the blue and versus defunding the police. Do you think we should be all in for backing the blue, or do you think we need to take money from police resources?
It's a good question. Both of them are very extreme, okay? Backing the blue shouldn't mean backing a police state, which we are kind of going into right now. I believe that. But yes, of course, we have to have an organized, good police department to do the right thing out there to keep streets safe. Otherwise, we're going to have to do it. So if you know, and as far as defunding them, then I don't know. That's completely idiotic. I mean, even to just say defund the police, get rid of the police, well, what are you going to have? Anarchy. You're going to have great gangs taking over, and then you're going to have the UN on the street. That's exactly what they want anyway. You know that, right? You know the Strong Cities Initiative? There's several American cities that have that, where they actually are prepared to have UN troops come in. I mean, that's stuff that nobody really talks about. But, okay, backing the blue, you back good cops doing their job, of course. I don't back a police state, and, of course, we're not going to defund the police. But I do not like the trend of cops standing down, retreating from their precincts as they're burning, watching Black Lives Matter and Antifa destroy the United States, watch Black Lives Matter tear down Confederate and Christopher Columbus statues and do nothing about it. You know, I got to tell you something. I don't know. I know it's been a while since I've been on the job, but I know that nobody during training told me as a cop that you know, after you took an oath to the Constitution, that you have to swear an oath to the governor or the mayor, and if they tell you not to do your job, you got to stand down. That never happened. Each police officer, when he comes out of the academy, is an autonomous officer of the law. Nobody, the President of the United States, can tell a cop who's sworn and certified that he can't do his job and to stand down. You know that, right? That's right. Unheard of. Going on. Governors using police departments as their own private goon squads, telling them to stand down. Oh, no, that's wrong. That's why I'm pissed off modern-day U.S. policing right now. And if you look at the UK, it's like 1984 on steroids. I mean, those guys, I don't know if you guys know this, but I put out a YouTube video before I got banned off there, and I challenged any active UK cop to a boxing match because of their terrible policing in the grooming gangs out there, where they didn't want to report the grooming gangs of thousands of British girls being raped and groomed for prostitution because they didn't want to be called racist. Are you kidding me? Nobody took my offer, but I would have knocked the snot out of them in the boxing ring. We were going to do it for charity. Of course, they wouldn't do it. What a shame. British cops right now are probably the worst cops you can ever imagine. They're prosecuting these COVID laws like it's like the people are wanted for murder or something. Have you seen what they're doing out there?
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable. Yep. And how about the cops? Did you see the Idaho cop arrest that lady for not wearing a mask when she's watching a football game at a high school? Come on, man. That's not the kind of blue I back. I'm going to tell you that right now, because those are terrible cops that do stuff like that. They can ignore those orders, but they don't. And just like the Supreme Court of deemed Whitmer's lockdown unconstitutional, the cops don't have to obey those orders, that come down from her office. They can turn the other way for stupid stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure you guys agree. Only ball breaker cops would do that, and they've never been good cops.
Right. Absolutely.
Exactly. Now, Mike, I'll turn it over to you real quick. Now, do you think cops that will go after people with the COVID masks and social distancing, do you think they're on a power trip, or do you think they're on a power trip, or just total losers?
Well,
dummies that can't think for themselves.
I would have to say it's political in those particular cops' minds. I want to touch on the point that what Jim brought up, that the president, can't tell a cop what to do or what not to do. Okay, when it comes to the law, actually, people really don't think like I do. But I'm going to give you my thoughts, my deep thoughts. Let's just say the president of the United States is driving his SUV and he blows through a stop sign, and I see it. You think I don't have to give him a ticket? You don't think I have to break his balls? I could do whatever I want because I have more power than he does right now, because I got his license in my hand because of what he did. So it doesn't matter who he is. But I wouldn't do that to Mr. Trump. Obama, hell, I'd put cuffs on him and throw him in the can. But besides the point, it's not discretion. It's up to the police officer's discretion. Now, if you have a sergeant, because when the 7-7 went down in 86, when the 7-7 got hit, the cops put on a summons strike, okay? We were not writing summonses at all unless you were ordered to, because it was up to your discretion to write the ticket. But if the sergeant wanted you to write that ticket, that was his direct order, and you couldn't, disobey a direct order, which is fine because there was a law broken. So you would write a summons, and you would put at the bottom, ordered by Sergeant so-and-so, wherever it was. All right? The same thing's got to be going on with these cops that are giving these mask tickets out when they write them. I wouldn't write one. I would not write one. If a sergeant told me to write a mask ticket and he ain't wearing a mask, he was getting a ticket. You see? So that's how it goes. What goes around comes around. But that lady in the stands watching her son play football, that was disrespected by the people in the it wasn't the people in the stands that were complaining. It was the, let's say, officials that were at the game that wanted her to put on a mask or leave. That's getting nuts. Nutty cuckoo, as the Fonz would say. Nutsy cuckoo. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I can't see me walking up to somebody who is sitting, minding their own business, and me telling them they got to put on a mask. You just can't do it. You just can't see it. You can't do it. You got all these people running around. You got all these people running around in Portland and Seattle and Kenosha, Wisconsin, and without masks on, burning buildings down. And then you go walk through a football game to give this lady a freaking ticket or drag her off the stands because she's not wearing a mask. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous.
Right.
Good leadership makes a good police department.
Right. Anyways, that brings me to my next point. Jim, why is it that the feds are not going after Black Lives Matter as a terrorist organization?
Well, probably the same reason why Barr isn't going after Hillary and Obama and all those other guys, the deep state, for what they did. You know, the same reason. This is it's just like with Black Lives Matter, and the FBI right now is at their worst. I mean, they've never been as bad as they are now. They're as crooked as can be. Nobody trusts them. I mean, they're rotten to the core. So why they're not doing it? Because maybe they want it. Maybe this is because here's what they said. They said that white militia groups are the biggest danger to the United States. Here they're talking about people that want nothing but law and order, are sanctioned by the Constitution to have militias, and they're calling them the biggest danger. I mean, maybe they're the biggest danger to corrupt politicians, but not to the country. That's probably what they mean, but they're not saying it. But so this whole thing is going crazy. Why they're not going after Antifa and Black Lives Matter is beyond me. It's very frustrating for anybody who appreciates law and order and peace on the streets.
Okay, Jim, very good. We're coming to our next break. Folks, check us out, 75radio.org. That's 75radio.org. Stay tuned, everybody. Take it away, boys.
Proclaiming liberty across the land. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
USA Radio News. I'm Lance Pry. President Trump and Democrat candidate Joe Biden are courting American voters. President Trump was at the White House Saturday.
I think it said 56% of the people prefer their position now in the midst of a pandemic than they did 4 years ago. Think of what that means. 56. And it's a Gallup poll, and it's the highest poll ever recorded, 56%. Now tell me about that. No, we had it going, and we really had it going, and then the plague came in from China, but we're getting rid of that, and we're rebuilding it, and it's going to be better than it was even before.
Former Vice President Joe Biden was in Erie, Pennsylvania.
So, Joey, I don't expect the government to solve my problems, but I at least expect them to understand my problems. You're facing real challenges right now, and the last thing you need is a president who exacerbates them.
USA Radio News.
Hi, this is Wayne Alaroot. Are you in need of a healthcare program? You're in luck. As a member of Liberty Health Share, you're part of a community that comes together to share their medical expenses. You can sign up throughout the year with membership starting as early as the following month. There are no contracts or commitments. There is no network, so you choose your own doctors and hospitals. Starting as low as $349 per month, Liberty Health Share has programs for singles, couples, and families of any size. I joined, I'm a member. My 4 children are members. Liberty Health Share saves me $18,000 each year compared to what I was paying for health insurance. Liberty Health Share is a non-profit ministry. It is not insurance. Your money goes towards helping other members with their eligible medical expenses. And in your time of need, other members are there for you. You can feel good knowing you're part of the community of like-minded individuals who come together to bear one another's burdens. To find out more, call 855-58-LIBERTY, 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 or go to libertyhealthshare.org/Wayne Root. That's libertyhealthshare.org/Wayne Root.
Hurricane Delta, now a tropical depression, is weakening as it travels over land with nearly 11 million people in the storm's path. FEMA's Peter Gaynor tells us power outages are plaguing the area.
But right now, what we see power outages in Louisiana, about 688,000. In Texas, about 107,000. And in Mississippi, about 92,000. So power seems to be the issue right now.
Do you trust what you hear about politics? Chances are you're not alone. USA Radio News' Val Dior has more.
A new survey conducted by Gallup for the Knight Foundation found 81% of U.S. adults polled said they're concerned to some degree about misinformation on social media swaying the White House race. Nearly half of all respondents, 48%, said they're very concerned about misinformation tilting the race, while 1/3, 33%, said they're somewhat concerned. Both Democrats and Republicans were surveyed. For USA Radio News, I'm Val Dior.
Wow, you're still listening? Here's more 7.5 Radio.
Anyway, we are live on 7.5 Radio. It is 33 minutes after the hour on Saturday, October the 10th. We have the Four Horsemen. Yours truly, Walter Yerkew, Mikey Guerin, and our good friend, Jim Lancia. Hey, Mike, you didn't get a chance last time, Mike, to say much of anything. You have any questions for our guest / friend / former co-host, Mr. Lancia?
Well, first, I just want to say it's an honor to be on the air with you, Jim. I have to admit, sadly, shamefully, I have not read the book, but it is purchased and will be read tonight when I retire. And I thank you, and I agree with you and Walt, Scoop, 100% what you said on the last segment. The tentacles of the corrupt deep state reach deep into these government organizations, the FBI, CIA. With that being said, they are some fantastic FBI agents out there. I've worked alongside them. Even the FBI agent that investigated my case back in the 1990s, 1991, was a jam-up guy. Couldn't ask for a better agent. And did not agree with the political climate that was forced down his throat at that time. But the people at the top of the food chain in all these, and it's been that way ever since Hoover was the man in charge. The FBI, I mean, this is status quo for them. It's been a corrupt agency from the get-go. Not all the people, but the vast majority of the decision makers have an agenda, and it's sadly isn't the correct agenda.
Hey, Mike, we only got 25 minutes left on the air. Do you have a point, or should can keep it moving? Anyways,
yeah,
I'm outnumbered here.
Listen, you're your own worst enemy, Scoop. You say to Mike, real quick, ask Jim a question. Man,
yeah.
When you say, Mike, real quick, ask Jim a question, you got time to go get a sandwich, bro.
I know. I mean, his questions / statements longer than Freebird. But anyways, let's go back to Jim before he falls asleep. Jim, do you think we live in a police state?
I think in some degrees we do, and we're getting there. We're getting to that point. I know that sounds extreme, but if you really look at what's going on out there, you can see some real traits of a police state. I mean, I watch some of these cop watch videos. A lot of these guys are real jerks. They really break the cops' balls. But cops today seem to be asking for ID all the time for every little thing. I think that's weird. I really do. Every interaction with the public does not require a cop asking for ID. That seems a little strange. It seems very Stasi-like. You know what I mean? We never did that. The only time we ever got ID was when we arrested somebody or when someone called and we wrote the reports. We didn't pull people over or talk to them and everybody, hey, let me see your ID, let me see your license. We didn't do that. It was just a different time. I think today it's just police state. Yeah, if you look at what they're doing, I did a lot of raids. I was in all the elite units in my department. I worked with the FBI too, ATF, DEA, all that crap. But you know what? They're using SWAT teams now for evictions. Did you guys know that? That's not good. They're evicting people with SWAT teams. And you know what? I don't like that. I mean, we went after big-time drug dealers, warrants, all this stuff, dangerous warrants. Never evicted anybody with a SWAT team. I just think it's wrong. And there's a lot of other things going on, too. It's just we're getting there. We're not quite as bad as, like, the UK with what they got. I mean, but we're getting there. Listen, I'm pro good police, not pro police state. And like I said, we have a lot of we're trending towards that. To me, in my opinion.
Do you think we're going towards China or Russia?
Well, let me tell you something. If we even come near them, there's something wrong. But the fact that the U.S. is not the same as it was when we were cops says something. I have a chapter in my book about how they don't even like to hire cops with high IQs. There was a case in Connecticut where a guy had too high of an IQ. They wouldn't hire him. He took it to the courts, and the courts agreed. They agreed with the police department. They think guys are going to get bored and they're going to leave. Isn't that crazy? So they're purposely hiring guys with lower IQs. So there's a trend there, and they're better order followers. See, when we came on, we were basically autonomous. You couldn't give us a bad order and we weren't going to follow it. It's just, but you could do that to order followers, to just low IQ dummies, affirmative action hires, and then you could get them to do anything you want. That's why cops are standing down. And, there's one thing that really bothered me. I saw that we're pulling down a Confederate statue. Cops were watching these people deface public property, did nothing. And as soon as one of those statues came down and knocked some guy in the head, the cop was right there to give first aid like some dummy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are they afraid of? I faced so many crowds. I worked in one of the worst housing projects in the United States, and I had crowds all over me threatening my life, trying to steal my prisoners away. I mean, you guys probably know about that, trying to take prisoners away. They did that a lot back then. They tried. And I took care of that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Language, sir.
And,
bleep. We don't have a bleep button. You have to self-bleep yourself.
Yeah. I said stuff. Yeah, stuff. I use it like stuff. It's my shtick. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. So crowds never scared me, but these guys, it's just, I just don't understand. Like I said, I just don't understand it. And I'm watching the way the cops handle things. It takes 30 guys to arrest one person. They got all their guns out. It's so stupid, man. It's like they're all afraid. I think they're afraid. They're more afraid to handle stuff. I never even wore a vest. I never wore a bulletproof vest throughout my whole career, even when cops were getting killed more back in the 70s and 80s, and when crime was statistically higher. And you know what? The only time I wore a vest was when they made me wear one to do the raid. Other than that, didn't wear one. I didn't care. I was uncomfortable. I didn't care. I'm not trying to be bravado. It's just I was confident. I wasn't afraid. That's just the way. That's the kind of guys you need. You need confident guys.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well,
I agree.
Take it away.
I agree. Absolutely, man. I wore my vest every day. I even had what they call a shadow plate on the chest, and hell, I got shot at, and I kept going after the guy. Twice it happened. Today, as soon as you hear shots, they're standing down. If you hear somebody screaming, they're standing down. If somebody screams in their face, the cops are standing down. Going through the police academy, forget about the police academy. When I was growing up, you fight. Win, lose, or draw. You don't back down. You fight. And when you go into the police academy, same thing. Cops don't fight. And it doesn't matter if 2, 3 cops got to take the guy down. But like Jim said, you got 5, 6, 7, 20, 30 guys to take the cop down. You watch these videos on TV now. What is it? Court cam? You got 12 bailiffs jumping on one defendant because the defendant wanted to punch the judge in the face. Showing force is fine. Showing, the power of force is fine. But you only need 2 or 3 guys rolling around, lock this guy up, cuff him up. And the other guys just stand and wait until they need it. You don't jump in and get your hand in there or your knee in there or your fist in there. Did beatdowns happen in the 80s when I was a cop? Abso-freaking-lutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. It was called street justice. Ain't nothing going to happen in the system. The guy didn't do enough to go into the system, but he did enough to piss you off because he hurt somebody bad. It's what they call the back alley down on Van Sinderen Street in East New York. It's the confines of the spot. There's probably no cameras there today. You could go down there. But you don't have to drag a guy through the streets, break his freaking neck, 20, 30 cops at a time. It's you know what that shows? When 20 cops show up at one scene for one guy, the town's got nothing to do.
Right. Now, Mike, you were a rural cop back in Eastern Tennessee. What'd you do if you had to go roll around with a perp?
Oh, you just locked horns and went with it. We, there's many nights I worked for the my local county sheriff's department. There was many nights I was the only deputy on patrol. My nearest backup, even when we were fully staffed, my nearest backup could be 20, 30 minutes away. So, you know, and bulletproof vests, we had no idea what those were. We couldn't afford them.
Okay, Mike, hold that thought. When we come back, we'll give Jim the floor, promote whatever he wants to do, and just have a free-for-all. This is 7.5 Radio on the Liberty News Radio Network.
Abby Johnson was once director of a Planned Parenthood clinic in Bryan, Texas. After a moral crisis, she quit, and now she campaigns against what she once endorsed.
They implement abortion quotas in all of their clinics.
What do you mean quotas?
You have to perform a certain number of abortions every month. One of the reasons that I left...
Are they explicit about that?
Yes. It's in your budget, right there on the line item. One of the reasons I left Planned Parenthood was because in a budget meeting I was told to double that abortion quota. And for me, as someone who had spoken to the media and had said, you know, we're about reducing the number of abortions, we're about, you know, prevention, all of these other services, I was shocked to hear this.
So since you actually worked at a Planned Parenthood, give us some sense of the relative number of abortions.
Okay, abortions, Planned Parenthood provides over 330,000 abortions a year. They are the largest single abortion provider in our country.
As a parent, is receiving a faith-based, character-focused education for your children difficult to find? Do you believe that godly principles should be a central component in your child's education? Imagine a school where faith and integrity are at its center, where heritage and responsibility instill character. For over 40 years, American Heritage School has been educating both hearts and minds, bringing out academic excellence. This is the school where character and embracing the providence of a living God are fundamental, where students' national test scores average near the 90th percentile. With American Heritage School's Advanced Distance Education Program, distance is no longer an issue. With an accredited LDS-oriented curriculum from kindergarten through 12th grade, your children can attend from anywhere in the world. American Heritage School will prepare your child for more than a job. It will prepare them for life. To learn more, visit american-heritage.org. That's american-heritage.org.
Scott Bradley here. Most Americans are painfully aware that the nation is on the wrong track and in dire straits. Unfortunately, most political pundits only nibble around the edges when they claim to address the issues. Even worse, many of the so-called solutions are simply rewarmed servings of what got us into the mess we currently face. And the politicians think we're so gullible and naive that we'll buy their lies that they have reformed and now understand where they led us astray. Unfortunately, the truth of the matter is that they simply wish to continue to hold power. The solution to America's challenges is found in returning to the timeless principles found in the United States Constitution. My book and lecture series will reawaken in Americans an understanding and love of the principles which made this nation the freest, most prosperous, happiest, and most respected nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com and order my book and lectures to begin the restoration of this great nation.
This is 7.5 Radio with Walter Yuku. Walter Yurkow. Walter Kiwi. Here's Walton Scoop.
And we are back. This is the fastest hour in radio. This is Scoop Stanton with Walter, Mike Guerin, and our special guest / friend, Jim Lancia. Jim, I hate calling you a guest because, you're a close personal friend. But anyways, what do you think of the show compared to Red 42?
Well, I think you guys got a good show. You got some good talent, a lot of experience. And it's pretty similar to Red 42, but I think you have a little more going on than we did, and good for you. And I hope to be a guest in the future. I wanted to touch on something that you, Mike and Walt talked about. I think that anybody becoming a cop in this country, whether they're in rural East Tennessee or inner city Bridgeport or New York City, they got to be able to take down a perpetrator single-handedly, because you got to be able to do that on your own to be an effective cop, because you're not always going to have backup, and you can't always rely on that. And you can't use your gun all the time. A lot of people, they think they're going to point the gun at somebody and people are just going to give in. You know what I'm saying? You've got to be able to physically take down a perpetrator, period. And that should be the first thing a cop got to realize. And, believe it or not, if you're confident and you can do the job, there'll be a lot less force needed to be used. Here's another thing, and I think you guys are going to agree. New York City, remember what last year they were getting water dumped on them? I blame the cops. You know why? They didn't do anything. I can't believe the videos I saw of water being dumped on a cop and they just walk away. They got to arrest the guy. That's an assault. You let that go, you're the fool for allowing that. We would never allow that. That's impossible. I'd rather lose my job than have to walk through the streets of any city getting water dumped on me without respect. Respect is everything when you put that uniform.
Can you imagine going back to the precinct, soaking freaking wet, and then seeing one of your colleagues out of your station house getting water put on him and didn't do anything? You know what happened? What happened to that cop the next day? His freaking locker would be out in the parking lot.
Right, and not only that, he makes it bad for all the other cops. So it's like, you can't be treated like that in the street. So those New York cops, they're not the quality they used to be. I mean, New York used to have a good, tough police department. They're not the same now either. I mean, I'm sure they got good guys. I mean, all departments have some good guys. But you know what? If they can't make an effective stance, then it's really doesn't matter how many good guys you have, because if the country's going in the direction it's going, you got the FOPs, the PBAs, the police unions, they're not really backing anything. They're not using their power to influence. They're not telling these mayors, hey, we're not going to politically stand down for one group and then harass another group because they may be on the right. I mean, this is just it's going in a bad direction, and it's hard to see, it's hard to see that, because I've always was proud of my police career, but the way things are going now, it's a lot of this is the cops' fault. They're not standing up, and everybody says, oh, they can't say anything. You know what? You could say something if you're speaking on the right side. It's just you're not an order follower. You're an officer of the law. You have a lot more power than you think. But, you want to let a mayor control you like a little toy soldier, then this is what's going to happen. That's why you got too many soccer moms and affirmative action cops out there. There's too many soccer mom police officers. I'm sorry. Have you seen some of these people? I mean, they're not fit to be police officers. They're just not.
Exactly. And, Jim, what do you think of the look or the way these modern 21st century cops look like as compared to back in the day?
Oh, my God. I mean, look at the cover of my book. I'm breaking like 3 or 4 rules there. I got my gun on cross draw. I got my tie unbuttoned. I'm wearing a 42nd precinct pin on it's unregulated. It was given to me by a New York cop at one of our cops' funerals. I mean, it's just everything. I broke all the rules. But the thing is I did my job. But as far as the look goes, the look is very important. You got these guys, they're wearing all their, I don't know what they got, all these tasers and all. I carried almost nothing. I had handcuffs, extra rounds, and my gun. That's it. I mean, I didn't carry anything. I traveled lightly. That's all I needed. But the thing is look. I mean, look at them. They're all fat. I did a report in my book. 80% of American cops are obese. That is a fact. That's ridiculous. I mean, you can't have that. And then they don't care about height. They don't care about anything. I mean, these guys, they look like crap. I mean, when you put that uniform, you represent the law. And, when you look good in your uniform and you're confident, you get a lot. I mean, even you get a lot more respect, and you don't get challenged as much, even though they still do. But if you can handle yourself, then that's cool. But the look is very important. They got all the fancy cars now. We had beat up cars. I know New York City had beat up cars too. Yeah, in the 80s. Yeah, but that was like a badge of honor. The city cars, no hubcaps, dents from bricks thrown at us. And you know what? Who cares? The thing is, that was the city policing, you know, but we did the job, you know. But today they got all these. Oh, here's another thing. I can't stand it. SUV police cars. It looks like a family of police officers in those cars. SUVs. They're riding bicycles in Portland with those shorts on and helmets. That doesn't look like cops to me. I'm sorry. It looks stupid. I know it's old school thinking, but maybe that's what we need. You know, a little bit of old school. But we're never going to get it back. It's never going to come back.
Hey, Jim, you bring up a point. Speaking of old school, our friend Charlie LaDuff, who's a reporter from Detroit, he actually applied to join the Detroit Police Department. Now, mind you, Charlie is 53 years old, but he signed up to take the test for the Detroit Police Department. And if you ever see his old videos, you know that guy's tough as nails, but that's what they need. But anyways, Mike, you know a thing or two about wheels. You're currently in a wheelchair. Did you have bikes back in the day in Eastern Tennessee for the sheriff's office?
Well, I'm almost in a wheelchair. I'm on a knee scooter. So, Lord, no, we did not have any bicycles. Jesus Christ. Of course, you know, my area or precinct, if you will, well, it'd take me 6 days to ride across that thing on a bicycle, you know. Jeez.
It take you 60 days today. But anyways, Jim, we got a couple minutes left. Please, you got the floor. Tell us about your book. How can people get in contact with you other than jumping on our website and asking for your information? Can people get in contact with you?
Well, right now, I'm going to be doing another YouTube channel pretty soon, and I'm going to promote your guys' radio show on that, too. And, you know, I'm still going to do the political cesspool, so I'd like to come on your show a couple more times and, you know, and put my 2 cents in and get to talk with you guys. And but as far as contact, I'm going to be out there again when I put my new channel out there, and then I'll come on and I'll promote my channel, and you know we can all do a little collaboration every once in a while. Right. You know, we could promote each other because I think we got the right mindset, all of us.
Right. Well, Jim, you're family, so you know you got to see that at the table. You know, we'll have to put Mike in the kitty corner again.
No, I appreciate that, and I wanna thank Mike for that nice, you know, compliment he gave me about my book and everything. I didn't get a chance to give that to.
Yeah, Jim. Speaking about that book, Mike, send me your copy when it's done because I'm not shelling out $10, man.
Yeah, keep waiting for that one.
If you, Mike, hey, Mike, real quick, if you want, I'll get Jim's address. Send the book and $150 he'll autograph for you. And
Hey, will you take a check?
Yeah, sure. No, listen, the book is good though. The book talks about everything that's going on today. I wrote it a few years ago, but it's almost prophetic about what's going on today and how we're, you know, devolving into what we're doing today. I mean, I get into Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff, and I make some points there. It's real old school. Really politically incorrect, but damn it, that's what we need. We need some guys to stand up and talk like that.
All right, real quick. All right, we're going to do round robin. All right, Walt, what do you got left for the next couple minutes for a guest or anything you want to put out?
You know, I still back any cop that's on the street. If I'm walking down the street and there's a cop in trouble or he's getting his ass kicked, I'm getting in there. It doesn't matter if it's a female cop or, you know, our show revolves around supporting our police department. And I think the way we talk tonight, I think if people really listen to what we said, we are supporting our police departments, even with our own opinions of good and bad on the job. And it's about respect and about controlling your field when you're a cop. If a sergeant or a lieutenant or a captain, I don't care who the hell it was, said at muster, all right, all you officers, you stand down, and if somebody yells in your face and pointing their finger in your face, says, stand down, believe me, I'll tell sergeant, don't let me go out tonight because I'm going to kill somebody.
All right, well, that's all right, right, well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Sorry, Mike. Better luck next week. But anyways, Jim, it's been a blast. We're going to definitely do this again. This is Peter Scoop Stanton for Jim Lance, Jim, Walter Yerkew, and Mike Guerin. Remember, folks, you can make a difference. Go out and make it. So long, everybody. Be safe.
This is James Edwards for 7-5 Radio. For those who work the streets and the jails, thanks for keeping us safe. So long, everybody.